All right, Graham, give it a couple seconds and then we'll be rolling. 3, 2, 1. Graham Matthews, Bleacher Report, FanSided, Daily DDT. My man, how you doing?
Doing great, brother. How about you?
I'm doing good, man. Can't complain. I know we just had Backlash last week. I want to get you on, talk about the show and, leading up to the current Queen and King of the Ring coming up. But before we do that, if you're watching on Twitter and on YouTube, we really appreciate your love and support. Find Graham Matthews on Twitter at WrestleRants. Find myself, Randy J. Cruz, RENDY, letter JCRUZ on Twitter, IG, and TikTok. Also, follow the show, SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, also on Amazon Music. Go give us a like, thumbs up, all that good stuff on youtube.com/Cruise Control Podcast. Give some love and support for your boys here on the program. Any questions or comments you have during the broadcast, we are doing this live. So hit us up in the chat. We'll read them on the air. So Graham Matthews, let's get started, man. Backlash just happened last week in France. The crowd was fucking amazing. Pretty much every match was pretty good. We do have new women tag champions, Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. Nothing else pretty much moved the needle as far as like championships or whatever. Damian Priest is still the world heavyweight champion. And Cody Rhodes, obviously, is still the undisputed champion. But overall, what did you make of Backlash from France?
I thought it was a great show. It was a very predictable pay-per-view. Everyone that we expected to win did win, including the title change. The only real surprise of the show was Tonga Loa debuting in this part of the Bloodline and not Jacob Fatu, helping the Bloodline win their tag team street fight, which turned into a tag team street fight. It wasn't supposed to be a tag team street fight to start out. But overall, I thought it was a great show. The crowd was really the highlight and took what would normally be like an average B pay-per-view. And I said on Twitter at the time, right after the show was over, probably one of the best B pay-per-views I've ever seen from this company. Because not only was the crowd great, but like the matches themselves were also excellent. Like even the weakest match in the show, like which I would say was the women's tag team title match, was still a good match, was still a pretty good match. And like the great was great. I thought the opening match was awesome. The women's triple threat was great. The main event was excellent. Cody and AJ, no real uncertainty surrounding the outcome. But I thought the match was awesome. I thought they delivered. And again, not really a lot of surprises, but there really didn't need to be. Predictability isn't always a bad thing. I thought they killed it, and they had a great show. So I thought it was a really, really fun time. And it was under 3 hours long, which is unheard of for WWE in today's day and age. I know the shows during the COVID pandemic era were like sub 3 hours, but since they got crowds back, they've been 3.5, 4 hours. But this was an under 3 hour show in the middle of the afternoon. Like more of this shit, please.
Listen, I think the one obvious thing to mention is the crowd. I think in any matter, it did not matter what match it was. The crowd was hype every single match for yelling and screaming and chanting for 3 hours it was. Shout out to them. I think they should go to France more often because when you do shows in the US and Raw, SmackDown, PLE, the crowd has never really been like that. But you get to see these overseas crowds. Last year Backlash was in Puerto Rico. You see now they're in France, and
and that's still a U.S. crowd. To be fair, obviously Puerto Rico is still part of the U.S. It's probably one of the hottest. Well, I will say this because I haven't gotten shit for it, but I've seen people. I just want to make that discrepancy. Obviously, it's a part of the United States, but it's not a city they go to often. So I wouldn't count that as an international show. But it's a city or a market they don't go to often, and they should go to more.
Yeah, like PR is not Hartford where you're from, so
exactly
it's a big difference. But
yes,
just seeing that, I love it. I wish the crowd would be more like that here in the States. But great overall card. Like we said, new tag champions. I think we figured that was going to happen. Jade and Bianca. So congrats to them. I thought the Cody match with AJ was no pun intended, was phenomenal, and they gave AJ a fucking standing ovation. Crowd was going crazy. You mentioned the debut of what's the guy's name again? Bloodline.
Tonga Loa is his name.
Loa. Okay, so now they're expanding this Bloodline 2.0 with Solo, and then obviously we're gonna see what happens down the line with Roman and The Rock and stuff like that. But the overall great card. Cody winning, obviously it was expected, but overall great match. It went 27 minutes. I think your boy Dave gave it a 5-star rating. I was like, oh,
I
shit.
saw that today. Not my boy Dave.
It was like, wow, your right hand man, Dave. Your right hand
Yeah,
man,
right.
Dave. So now the next show is going to be the King and Queen of the Ring later on this month, from Saudi Arabia. So they've already been doing some preliminary matches and to enter the tournament, and now the tournament is looking like I just had it. Give me 1 second, bro. So Gunther beat Sheamus, Dragunov, who got called up in the draft, took down Ricochet, and Jey Uso, who took Drew McIntyre's spot, defeated Finn Balor. Coming up still, I believe it's Kofi against Rey Mysterio, Randy Orton against AJ, Angelo Dawkins against Tama Tonga, Baron Corbin against Carmelo Hayes, and LA Knight against Santos Escobar. So obviously tonight, SmackDown will host majority of those matches. So as you see what's going on so far, I think last week we mentioned it seems like Gunther might be the guy to win this whole thing. But when you see a guy like Jey Uso come out there and take Drew McIntyre's spot against Finn Balor, the crowd loves the crowd in France for Jey Uso's yeet was fucking insane. And I
Yeah.
think people have been asking, like, does Jey Uso need a championship? Does it need like a Money in the Bank? Does it need a King of the Ring to further his character? And most are saying no. I think it might come down to Jey Uso and Gunther in the finals for the King of the Ring. But how do you see it playing out?
So listen, I had a whole in-depth discussion about this yesterday with Jey Uso. I don't think he should win King of the Ring. I don't think he should win a world championship. He will probably
now,
get in the
now, not ever, but like right now.
Okay, I'll rephrase that. I think he
Okay.
can win a world championship. I really don't see him as a perennial main event player. I just don't. I see him as an upper mid card guy. I see him as a challenger. I know Kofi got a 6-month run, and I don't know. I feel like Kofi is more of a complete package than Jey Uso is. Jey Uso is more over than Kofi ever was for a sustained period of time. Sure. I just don't feel like, and again, we could do a whole other show on this separately. And I've said this before. I just don't see it with Jey Uso as a main event player permanently. Just because the guy is over, and yes, they should take advantage of that. I'm not saying they should never give him a championship. Like you said, he is over without a title. That's true. That doesn't mean they should never give him a championship. I do think there comes a point where he has to win when it matters most. Beating his brother at Mania was a fine first step, but at some point he does have to win a championship. That's not a tag team title. Personally, I would prefer that to be the Intercontinental or the United States Championship. There's not really an avenue right now where either of those would make sense. Logan Paul's on SmackDown. I think LA Knight should beat Logan Paul anyway. And on Raw, Sami Zayn's the champion, and I think Chad Gable should beat him. Could he beat Chad Gable at some point? Maybe, but I think we might get an Usos reunion before that could happen. Again, I think he could win the championship and get like a Jeff Hardy moment. Even Jeff Hardy was more of a viable world champion to me than Jey Uso. It just feels like Jey Uso's kind of resting on the whole yeet laurels thing, like the whole catchphrase being over. In the ring, he's pretty good. He's not great, and I just haven't heard a great promo from him in a long time. It just kind of feels like it's been one-dimensional for me anyway. And I'm a big Jey Uso fan. I'm not saying obviously he's incredibly over, and I think the guy's great. I just don't see him as the guy to carry Raw, for example, for a sustained period of time as a world champion. He can win it and then lose it a month later, maybe. I'd be okay with that. As far as the King of the Ring stuff goes, I don't see him winning it. I don't think he should win it. I think that's tailor-made for Gunther. I think Gunther should win the whole thing. I think whoever wins King of the Ring should go on to then challenge/win a world championship. So probably on Raw, because I don't see Cody dropping his championship anytime soon. Randy Orton's in there. Orton shouldn't win the thing. AJ's in there. AJ doesn't need to win it. There's a whole bunch of people. Carmelo Hayes is in there. Might be a little too soon for him. I don't see LA Knight winning it. Tonga Loa or Tama Tonga's in there. He's not winning it. Angelo fucking Dawkins, they just replaced Bobby Lashley with. He's obviously not winning the thing. On Raw, Ilya Dragunov would be great. I don't really think he needs to win the thing. I think Gunther's going to win the whole thing. I just think he makes sense. He'll probably the finals are going to be him against someone from SmackDown. He'll probably beat Randy or AJ, probably Randy Orton, I would think, and win the whole thing. So that's my prediction. That's my long answer to your short question.
Okay, so that helps me out because obviously Gunther cannot fight Jey Uso in the finals. So there's one guy from Raw, one guy from SmackDown. All right.
In the finals for Raw, he can. So, like in the
Yeah,
semifinals, he could
like a
face him. I
Final
don't even
Four.
think Jey
Yeah.
Uso should beat Ilya Dragunov on Monday. I think that'd be silly, personally. But I mean, they
Mhm.
could do it, I guess.
All right, give me one. This might be it. Yeah. Sorry. Boom. So you can see it. So now you're saying Gunther is going to fight either Randy Orton, damn, or LA Knight for the finals.
No, I don't think LA Knight's going to be in the finals. Let me see. I have to
You got
maximize
AJ,
this.
Randy, Tomatonga,
Oh, okay,
Dawkins,
yeah.
Carmelo, Baron Corbin, LA Knight, Escobar.
So AJ and Orton, the winner of
Yeah.
that faces. I'd seen the bracket, so I know what the matches are
Yeah.
like specifically. So I know Orton and AJ. I think Orton beats AJ tonight. That winner faces Hayes or Corbin, and I think Hayes will probably win. I think Orton faces Hayes. I think Orton's going to the finals.
Okay.
And then on the other side of the bracket for SmackDown, Dawkins and Tonga. Tonga's obviously winning. Bobby was supposed to be in Dawkins' spot. He got hurt. So I don't know who would have won that match, but I think Tonga's easily winning over Angelo Dawkins. I don't know why it's not Montez Ford. I like Angelo Dawkins, but whatever.
Yeah.
And then the winner of that faces LA Knight. I think
Graham
I'll
is struggling
say
over there. You're struggling over there.
I am. Well, I'm just thinking too, because I think the SmackDown finals could be Orton and Tama Tonga because they've been feuding recently anyway.
Yeah.
So that might make sense. So I'll say Tama Tonga and Orton in the finals, right? Yeah. I think Tama Tonga beats LA Knight, Orton and Tonga. Orton beats him, and then it's Orton and Gunther at King of the Ring, King and Queen of the Ring, and then Gunther wins. That's my prediction.
Okay. Listen, I can see it that way. I got some people in the chat I want to chime in. So first of all, thank you guys for chiming in, whether you're watching on Twitter or YouTube, trying to get the numbers up for YouTube. So thank you for the so showing the love and support. Noob, I get the feeling that Jacob Fatu might show up and be the leader of the Bloodline 2.0. Do you agree with that, or do you think he's going to override Sokoa as a leader?
I think he joins the Usos because I feel like you can't have everyone on the
One
solo
side.
side because at that point it would become like 4-on-3 or 5-on-3 if you count the Rocks. You kind of have to even out the numbers a little bit. So I think Jacob actually joins the Usos at this point.
Oh, okay. I agree with Graham. I agree with Graham. Gunther is winning the King of the Ring tournament. I say so too because I know I don't want to repeat myself, but I think King of the Ring has always been a heel gimmick to win, more so than like Money in the Bank. So having a King Gunther character for the summer or for the entire year will be beneficial because if a good guy wins, like if you look at it from Stone Cold, he was a bad guy. Hunter, bad guy. Brock, I think he was
a bad guy.
He was a
Kurt
bad
Angle
guy.
too.
Kurt Angle.
Brock was definitely a heel at that
Owen
point.
Hart, bad guy. Brett, good guy.
Billy Gunn went heel, I think. Was he a heel when he won? I don't remember.
Who?
Billy Gunn.
Oh man, I forgot Billy Gunn won the whole shit.
I know. Ken Shamrock won it. I don't know if he was a heel at the time. Harley
King
Race, Randy Savage. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Booker's a bad guy. So
Booker, yeah, I think he turned heel in the tournament actually. So King Booker was a heel gimmick, yeah.
I love King Booker. That SmackDown era of the 05, 04, 05, 06, 07 is probably my I know the original of 99, 2000 was crazy, but that era in the Ruthless Aggression era SmackDown with JBL and John Cena and Rey Mysterio and Orton and Kurt Angle, and that was tough. What else we got? All right, Wrestling with Things. David here. I agree with Graham that Jay has earned a reward for a mid-card championship. He is not a true main eventer. He's a fun character that is over. Gunther is winning the King of the Ring.
No, I agree. I think that's a great way to put it. I think he's a fun character, and I'm not saying he's not over. I think again, if he were to win the title, let's say he wins the championship, him and Damian have a rematch at King and Queen of the Ring. And then I talked about this yesterday, and this idea was actually pitched to me. It wasn't my idea. But maybe Jey Uso beats Damian with inadvertent interference from the Judgment Day, whether they cost him the championship or not, because I think we're headed toward Judgment Day split, Damian and Finn, maybe at SummerSlam, blah, blah, blah. and then Jey Uso wins the belt for like a month, and then he loses it to, I mean, again, we're sounding, it's going to be hot potato for a little bit. I get that. But you can get the belt on Jey for a month. I'm not saying they should do this. I'm saying I'd be okay with it if they did. Because you get the moment with Jey. Granted, he wins in fucking Saudi Arabia. I mean, I feel like the reaction should be here because, you know, like that. I mean, granted, I mean, it happened in France. It's not like, oh, it's a U.S. thing, but I would like to see it happen in a better crowd than Saudi Arabia. But that's, you know, neither here nor there. He can win the championship for a month, lose it in Scotland to Drew, and then we're back on track. So I just don't think Jey is a world champion of like 3, 4, 5, 6 months. I just don't see it personally.
Yeah, so I know the Jimmy good guy, Jey good guy character is white hot right now, and I just don't want, hopefully, the company or maybe fans or media to feel like, oh, he's just going to be one of them guys that is going to be mid card for life and never win a world title. Like, there are some guys who broke out of that. There are some guys who were in there like forever. Like, we go back in the days, like, you know, like Mr. Perfect, mid card, should have been champion. I would say at least one time, never happened. DiBiase, never happened. Razor Ramon, never happened. Owen Hart, mid card, never world champion. I'm pretty sure there's more people from that point till now that was a really good glue guy or a good character, but they never gave him much. It was Jeff Hardy for a while before they finally put the belt on him. But do I see him being a world champion? I could see him being the world heavyweight champion.
Yeah.
I'm not saying tomorrow, but I think in this time frame he could be world champion, and I think him getting the Intercontinental belt, I think it would make more sense for him to get it off of Sami Zayn. I know Chad Gable's in that mix now. Chad should have been IC champion like a little while ago, if you ask me. But getting that Sami Jey Uso match for the Intercontinental Championship, both are good guys now. I don't know when you do it, but I think to make sense storyline wise, that'll be a nice thing for Jey to finally be world champion, getting a world championship, and the guy he does it against is the guy he had in the Bloodline like last year.
Yeah, just to go back to your point about like everyone that didn't win a world championship as well. Someone had pointed, not those names specifically, but someone had tried to tell me a couple days ago, like, oh, you know, some of the all-time greats never won a world championship and whatever. But my answer to that, though, with everyone specifically that you just named, Randy, Owen, Razor, DiBiase, Perfect, every single one of those people is better than Jey Uso. I mean, it's not even close. Like, all those people should have been world champion. I agree. Jey Uso is not nearly as deep of a character or as good in the ring or on the mic as any of those people. Like, it's not even close. It's not even close. Even Jeff Hardy, I would say, is more of a complete package than Jey Uso is. And that's not the shit on Jey Uso. But like you said, some people are mid-card for life. Jey Uso is an upper mid-card guy. Not everyone can be world champion. Like, and I'm not saying like Chad Gable should be in that world title spot. Like, he's a smaller guy. He's much better in the ring, but you know, that's debatable. But I feel like Priest, to me, I'm not saying even he's going to be a multi-time world champion. This could be the only world title run Priest gets. But I even feel like Priest, it could be. I'm not saying it will be, but it could be. I look at him as someone as a viable world champion. Size is a part of it. I mean, whether you like it or not, that's obviously part of it. But I feel like he's a good talker. He's not as over as Jey Uso, but he's got the Judgment Day thing going on for him. I think he could be really good as a babyface. We've seen that before. I don't know. I just feel like I look at Damian and he screams to me main event star, or could be more of a main event star as a long-term guy than Jey Uso, regardless of how over Jey Uso is. I mean, that's like, and again, might not be a fair comparison. And I like the guy too, but Orange Cassidy, he's incredibly over, has always been over. Does that mean they should make him a world champion for 6 months? No, that makes no fucking sense. And
no,
granted,
because if you look at Orange Cassidy, he don't look like the typical world champion. That just
neither does Jey Uso.
I mean, Jey Uso looks more like a world champion than Orange Cassidy, right or wrong?
Correct, but my point is that people are going off of how over Jey Uso is. I just don't think that's the only factor to consider. And Orange Cassidy is much better in the ring than Jey Uso too. That's another thing. And then there's just not a lot there, dude. Like we talked about it a month ago. That Jimmy Uso match at Mania fucking sucked, and we can blame that on Jimmy or whatever, because Jey went out there and had a great match with Damian. Jay's good in the ring. He is good in the ring. But I mean, I don't want to sit here and pretend that this guy's all of a sudden world champion material just because he's been on his own for a year now, when for the last 12 fucking years he was in a tag team and no one saw that in him at all. I think he's great as a mid-card guy, upper mid-card guy. I just don't think we should get ahead of ourselves and think he could be world champion
Mhm.
for good or be at the level that a Drew's at, not like Punk or something, but
Yeah.
like that Drew level, even like a Gunther, Sheamus. I look at Gunther and I'm like, dude, world champion. Like, it's not even close. It's not even close to me, but
Right.
just my opinion. I know that's a bold opinion, but that's my opinion.
Noob did. Oh yeah, King Regal. That's Graham's Graham's favorite guys. King Regal, bad
It's his
guy.
birthday
Yeah.
today, actually. Happy birthday to King Regal.
Today,
But
really?
today's his birthday, yeah. May
Wow.
10th. But yeah, I mean, we didn't even mention that whole era. Regal, Barrett, Sheamus, Corbin, some of the worst King of the Rings they ever had because the booking was abysmal, but they were all heels though during that period.
Okay. Well, Noob is like getting ahead of me, so he sees what I want to talk about. I saw the preview of the match on SmackDown side. Queen of the Ring. We got Bianca facing Candice and Jade taking on Piper. So yeah, so we did mention that's gonna happen. So there is a possibility of a Bianca and Jade, I would think, meeting up in these brackets if they had them win. I don't know where Naomi might be in this bracket, but at least let's just say what I see right now, Jade and Bianca could potentially, as tag team champions, face off in this King of the Ring tournament. One, Let's Fantasy book this. If that was to happen, do you think it should happen? One, and if it does happen, how do you play it off where like, we're friends, we're tag champions, but this is Queen of the Ring now? Like, are we going like legit at it, or do you feel they should both lose in their matchup? No, not saying lose, but like some shenanigans happen to count out or some shit like that. Or what do you think?
Listen, I will say this. I think both of them advance past the first round. There is
Okay, great.
absolutely no fucking way
Right.
that Jade Cargill loses. And I like these women, no offense to them, but there's absolutely no fucking chance that Jade loses to Piper, even by DQ or countout, or Bianca loses to Candice LeRae. I mean, it's possible, and maybe they can, but that just doesn't make sense to me. So I think guaranteed one of them is they're either bound to face each other in the quarterfinals, or more likely one of them will face Naomi in the next round. I don't know. Again, we don't know the bracket, what it looks like yet. I don't like the idea of Bianca and Jade facing each other this soon. We've just seen them join forces. I know they faced each other in the Rumble, but that wasn't a one-on-one match. That was a small taste of what we can expect down the road. You can do the match now and set up a future feud between the two down the road. It's been done before. I don't like them doing it right now because they just joined forces. They just won the tag titles, and Jade probably is not ready for that. I don't want them to have a match, and it's not that good because Jade's not ready for a spot like that against someone like Bianca. And then, I mean, even the Piper Niven match might not be good. I'm very curious to see how that goes tonight. But the Bianca match, it's a first time ever encounter. That's a Mania-worthy match. Like, that's a first time ever encounter. To give it away in the first or second round of the fucking Queen of the Ring, to me, even it's not even the finals, I think is stupid. I think one of them's got to get screwed. I'm not a big fan of that. So, I mean, they could and they can make it work, but I'm not a big fan of them doing the match now.
Right. Do I agree with you? Like, should both stay away from each other for the time being? Yeah.
As opponents, yeah.
As opponents, yes. Maybe Damage Control beats them up backstage, and they both can't compete in their matches. And like now you just get Candice against Piper Niven. Yeah, you could do it like that, but like, why advertise it and then you do that? But it's like, it's interesting to see where it goes and how they play it out. Like Noob said, why are they in singles action? Doesn't make sense.
Because there's no tag team division. There's no tag team division. They don't give a shit.
No.
It would make less sense if they weren't in the tournament. Because what are they going to do? Face fucking Alba Fire and Isla Dawn? They don't. The WWE doesn't give a shit about those belts or those titles or the division. They're only champions to further their own storyline. After that, they should just toss those things in the trash.
I know we mentioned Priest and Balor earlier, so it looks like on TV that they might be playing around with the fact that a Judgment Day split or some dissension might be happening in the works. Priest did beat Jey Uso at Backlash. He did not want the help from Judgment Day. He got it eventually. He got tight that they were beating up Jey Uso at the end, and he's kind of getting in Balor's face, and they kind of made up to a degree on Raw, but you kind of see the seeds being planted. Like, all right, if Damian if Damien is world champion, I think it'll make less sense to them to kick out the world champion as opposed to say, you know what, I'm out. Like Priest is saying, I'm out of this shit. Then he
Yeah.
takes the good guy role. Balor is like, all right, he's a bad guy role. Because they're saying like Randy Orton in Evolution, where he's a world champion, and then he gets a thumbs
I mean, they
down. Like
could, but I wouldn't do that. No.
it would make sense if Balor was champion and Priest was the leader, and he said, you do this. That's more sense. But
Oh yeah,
I
because
still,
Orton wasn't the leader. Yeah. I mean,
right.
there's really no one leader, but yeah.
So how long, if you were a betting guy, we're the middle of May. How long does Judgment Day remain intact? And when do you see Priest leaving or getting Balor down the road? Because this is all happening without Rhea too, by the way.
Yeah. They just started the tension right after Mania. I mean, they did the whole teasing tension thing last summer and it went nowhere, which I think was the point. I don't know if there was a plan to split them up back then. I don't think so. I think it was just a red herring, but I think they'll actually go through with it now. Judgment Day's been a thing now for 2 years. They're still on Raw. You can't go farther with. I mean, they've got the World Championship now. They have the tag titles, the women's title. They have fucking NXT North American title. What more? They've done the War Games thing. I don't really know what more you can really do with them. I think they definitely, the split comes by SummerSlam is my prediction. I think we get Balor and Priest. I thought it might have been a Mania match, but obviously they didn't go in that direction. I'm glad they didn't and they prolonged it. I think that could work as a SummerSlam match. Not for the World Championship. I don't think Priest is champion by then. Yeah, it would be weird. What'd you say?
Wow, so you don't see Priest as champion by SummerSlam?
I don't. I think he'll lose it. I don't think come Clash of the Castle, Drew can be in any other match than with either Punk, and I don't think he's cleared by then, or for the World Championship. And if he faces Priest at Clash of the Castle, that would be ridiculous if he lost. He can't go at Clash and lose twice. I mean, he's got to win this time. Priest doesn't need to be champion for 6 months. Would I complain if he was? No, I think Priest is great. But I also
in your mind, I think what you're saying, which could make sense. Priest walks into Clash as champion. Obviously he'll get Drew McIntyre, right?
Mm-hmm.
This could set up the breakup of Judgment Day, where Finn Balor or somebody costs Damian Priest the championship. Then you go into that storyline with Priest and Balor for the summertime and SummerSlam. Yeah. Drew is the world champion, and then by that time you might get the him and CM Punk on that
for
side. So that's the only way.
Yeah, I think you could do Punk, and if Punk's cleared by SummerSlam, which I think he would be because he hasn't had the arm brace since Mania. I think even before that, but
yeah,
I think June is too soon. August, I think, is more likely.
Yeah,
and you don't even have to have Punk win. I wouldn't even have Punk win. I love Punk, but I would have McIntyre beat Punk and prolong the program. And Punk does not win the World Championship in his first match back. They hold off on that for a little while. So that's what I would do. I think we get a Judgment Day. Not really a split. I could see Balor, McDonough, and Dirty Dom sticking together. And then when Rhea comes back, she also goes babyface because I think Liv's definitely going heel. So if she's going heel, Rhea's got to come back as a babyface. I don't know if her and Damian stay together. I don't think so. But I think Rhea comes back as a babyface. Damian goes babyface. Probably he splits off from them. They don't turn on him. I mean, you could do it however you want to explain it. And then Judgment Day can exist with those only 3 people, or they just all go their separate ways. It really doesn't matter, I don't think.
For Finn, because like it's rare that my brother catches up on the Raw SmackDown. Like I'm watching it, he walks by, he sees Finn. He said, "Yo, man, they got to bring back the Demon Finn back." And I'm like, okay, like could you see a heel Finn, Demon Finn come back against a Damian Priest, or do you think Finn is going to stay in this kind of character going forward? Like, how do you bring the Demon Finn Balor back in this Judgment Day breakup scenario?
I mean, they did do heel Demon Finn Balor at Mania last year against Edge in that Hell in the Cell match, and he lost. That to me just killed the Demon. I mean, first of all, again, I could do a whole other rant about this, but I'll keep it brief. Yeah. There was no reason for him to lose against Edge. Edge left the company anyway. They had no plans for Edge coming out of Mania last year. It was fucking dumb for Finn Balor to lose that feud/match. And it was a waste of the Demon. And then before that, you would have to go all the way back to when he lost to Roman Reigns 3 years ago in that terrible match at Extreme Rules. And the match was fine, but the finish was terrible. When he had like a convulsion on the fucking ground and shit. It's just stupid. So they killed the Demon for me with that bullshit. I don't think it comes back in the Damian feud. I think you can bring it back down the road. I know we talked about it recently. You got to make it more special. I mean, the Damian thing would be fine, but I think he'd get cheered over Damian if Damian's supposed to be the babyface. I just don't think that really works. The Hell in the Cell thing with Edge was cool, but he lost that too. So I feel like the next time he brings it back would probably have to be as a babyface, and I just don't really see it coming back for this Damian feud personally.
So my thing, let's play your scenario. Damian walks into Clash as champion, and if you're gonna get the belt off of him, I think a demon. So tell me, crowd would go crazy or would they boo? A demon Finn costs Damian Priest a title at Clash. Are they cheering Finn or are they booing Demon Finn Balor?
I mean, if the end result is Drew winning the belt, they're gonna cheer if it's fucking Pete Rose out there costing the championship because they're in Scotland and Drew's gonna win the belt. So it doesn't matter who the fuck cost Damian the belt. Even if Damian loses clean as a sheet, they're gonna cheer because they just want Drew to win because they're in his home country. So it doesn't even matter. They could cheer. I think the Demon. They're not going to paint him up as the Demon just to cost him the belt. The Demon would only come out if he was having a match, I would think.
Which could be against Priest.
Yeah, the match could be against Demon. Yeah. I just don't think it's necessary. Could it make the match more interesting? Sure. I mean, but does it really make it more interesting? Again, they killed any interest in the Demon for me and a lot of people. What the last 2 times they've used it. And to correct myself, they have used the Demon before in non-matches, but it's not very often. So they could do that. I just don't care. I think my interest level would still be the same. And I'm looking forward to the match, but I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm even more excited because it's Demon Finn. Because in the past 2 times we've seen him, he's been a fucking loser. So I wouldn't even bother.
So do you think that it's going to be new leaders in Judgment Day, or Damian leaves and then Rhea's going to separate herself because she's going to be a baby face? Like what? Or this is just the dismantling of the group, because Dominic got to be on his own and Finn got to be on his own. I don't really care too much for JD. It's like, what do they do once Damian and Rhea leaves?
I think that's it for them. I mean, I think they can continue it with Dom, Balor, and McDonough. It's not the same. I mean, the great thing with the dynamic of what they have with the Judgment Day, the 5 people they have in there, McDonough's like the fall guy. He's the small guy they can beat the shit out of. Dirty Dom brings the heat. He's just so hateable. Rhea Ripley has that female dynamic, and she's awesome. Damian's got the size to him. Finn Balor is the one that can go in there and go. He can go in there and wrestle, and he's also a viable leader, and he's been in there for a very long time. So I think they all kind of bring their certain dynamic to the group to make it such a great dynamic. You take out 2 of the biggest parts of the group, 2 of the original members, and Rhea and Damian. I think that's it. Again, it's been a group that's been going on for 2 years now, not 2 years too long. And then the Judgment Day is having a great run, but every good thing must come to an end. I don't think you have to stretch this out like the Bloodline. I think they can just go their separate ways and have that be it. So I could see Balor and McDonough sticking together because they have that history from the UK and shit.
Yeah.
Dom can either go with Rhea or I know they've been teasing Dom and Liv Morgan with the whole bandana in Liv's pocket. They've been teasing something going on with them. I don't see Dirty Dom joining Liv. I just feel like that'd be silly because I think the Dom and Rhea thing, I thought that was dumb at the beginning too, but they ended up winning a lot of people over with that. It's been cool. For him to just jump to Liv Morgan, I don't really see that. Maybe for a brief angle, maybe, but I think he could just be on his own and be perfectly fine.
Right. Respectfully, Finn isn't too interesting without the Demon. Maybe a reinvented version can work. So we haven't seen Demon Finn since what? WrestleMania 39 against Edge. So over almost 2 years, over a year and a half. Wow.
Yeah, I don't even think Balor's interesting with the Demon at this point. I'm not saying he's. I mean, I understand where he's coming from. I mean, is he all that exciting? Period. Right now, no, because he's like an afterthought in the group. I think turning him on Damian might make him slightly more interesting. Yeah. Just for me personally, I don't think making him the Demon would make that match any more interesting. They fucking killed the Demon for me with that other shit they did last year and a couple of years ago with Roman. I just thought it was so dumb. I know Triple H is running things now. Vince was running stuff. Even with 39, he was running things. I get that. Triple H might do it justice. They really got to build that thing back up, though. Maybe that could do it. I don't know. But here's the thing, though. Here's another thing. I'll just say this. If they make him the Demon, he has to win. He has to win.
I agree.
He can't lose again. He's lost twice already after going undefeated for like 10 years or something on the main roster in NXT. I don't think he would, though. I think they'd put Damian over, which I think they should, because Damian I see more of as a long-term main eventer than Finn Balor. So if you're going to have him lose again, then what's the point of having him be the demon?
Right.
I think Damian wins.
So real quick, I see Noob wrote up that so in real life, Drew, Bobby Lashley have legit injuries, or why aren't they in the King of the Ring?
They're all hurt.
Like legit.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And Oscar too? She hurt too?
Oscar's hurt. I don't know if any of these injuries are like, I think they just might be minor injuries to where they can't compete for a couple of weeks. I think Drew's back soon. I don't know what Bobby had happened to him.
Yeah.
Oscar, same thing. I feel like it's just a minor knee thing. I could be wrong. Maybe they're out for like 3 months, but I just don't think it's anything too serious, and they'll be back soon. They just can't compete in the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, King Drew would have been a little interesting too. Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, I mean, especially if he went on to win the world title at Clash. I think that was there's a pretty good chance of that happening. I don't think Drew was ever meant to be in the tournament. He has not wrestled a TV match in over a month. I think they announced him knowing he couldn't compete so they could do the angle on Raw to where Jey Uso could replace him, because Jey faced the world champion on Saturday. Yeah, I don't know. I know that AJ's in there too, but they didn't announce the SmackDown stuff. They announced the Raw matches on Saturday. They did not announce the SmackDown matches. So my point is, they had Jey lose to Damian. They're not going to put him right in the King of the Ring that same night or announce him. They wanted to do what they did by having, hey, it's Drew, but it's not actually Drew. It's really just Jey Uso. So I think that was smart. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, then I seen Bobby and Carmelo have a little backstage thing, and I'm thinking like, okay, this could be a little nice little rivalry that they start. I thought Bobby was gonna recruit Carmelo to the group with him and the Street Profits. I thought that was gonna be an angle, but I think they've been going at it social media back and forth, which is dope. So you might see them go at it one-on-one in the future. Since he mentioned WrestleMania, so WrestleMania is officially 41 in Vegas. Next year, Minnesota, you had it. You had a chance. If Vince was still here, it would be in Minnesota. Let's keep it a buck, but it is in Vegas. And you start seeing people on social like, oh, so the main event is going to be The Rock and Roman. I think it should be that way. You can't have it in fucking Vegas and not put The Rock and Roman Reigns in the main event. But some are saying it could be The Rock and Cody Rhodes in the main event at 41. I don't think I've asked you this, but now that it's official, do you think WrestleMania 41 main event should be Rock and Roman Reigns or Rock and Cody Rhodes as world champion?
I think it should be Rock and Roman Reigns, because if you don't do Rock and Roman Reigns next year, you're waiting until the following year. You're not doing that. I know I said Rock and Roman. I did say originally, like, I'll just do it at Chamber, but that was just because the only reason I said that was because I did not think they would do what they did by turning Rock heel and doing the whole long-term bloodline thing. Because if they had to get that match in while Roman was champion, I wanted them to do it before Roman lost the belt. But now that that's not really a factor and that doesn't really matter, I'm glad they're holding out on it.
Yeah.
I don't want to wait 2 years for that match. I don't think they can wait 2 years for that match. Roman's not full-time. Maybe that helps their case, because that means he won't be appearing on the show every week to kind of drag it out. And same thing with The Rock. I would rather they just do Cody and Rock before then, even if it's at the Rumble. The bloodline stuff has been very interesting for the last month. I don't know if they can maintain that for an entire 2 years. I know they've done it for the last 4, but to wait another 2 for Rock and Roman is a long fucking time, dude. That's a really long time. Whether Cody doesn't even have to be champion for the Rock match. And I want the Rock match. I do. And I've said that, but I don't know if you wait until Mania. That's a really, really long time. So I know Meltzer said that. We'll see. He's just watching the product, as we all are. They're teasing it for Mania. I don't know if Rock's working SummerSlam. Probably not. In Cleveland, probably not. But I hope they do it before then, is my hope. I'm not too convinced that they will, though.
Because according to him, and we're just, fantasy booking this, but he was saying it's Cody's championship against the People's Championship. Something like that. I'm like, all right, so I don't need a People's Champion against undisputed championship. I don't think we need that. But Roman might be a busy guy. He got some movies to make and doing the Hollywood stuff, so maybe he won't be available. So now obviously WrestleMania is going to be more so in the middle of April.
On Easter, actually.
There's no NFL draft in the way. Obviously, there'll be NBA playoffs. There's no March Madness in the way. So it's going to be by themselves, you know, to do what they do in Vegas. So I mean, I think it should be Rock and Roman. If you, like you say, if you don't do it now, it could have been in L.A. Didn't happen in L.A. with the biggest movie star in the world. It ain't happened in fucking L.A. 2 years ago. I mean, last year. Now it don't happen. It'll happen in Philly, but Rock is involved. But now it's like, all right, this is how we get to Rock and Roman. But if they go with Cody and Rock, am I mad about it? I'm gonna be like, no. But in the back of your mind and my mind, it's like, damn, you could have fucking had Roman Reigns and The Rock by now, bro. Like, it's in Vegas. Why not, right?
Yeah, I mean, the city has something to do with that. I don't think. I mean, they did Philadelphia compared to Vegas or fucking LA is nothing. So that's why I was kind of surprised they had Cody get his. I mean, not surprised, but like you can make the comment or make the argument. Oh, why did they give Cody his big moment or have Roman's reign lose? End in Philadelphia when it could have been in all these other cities. Like I agree with that.
Yeah.
I just don't want to wait another 2 years. Roman and Rock will be another 2 years older. Specifically, Rock. No, just. No, because Cody's not losing to The Rock. I don't think he's losing to The Rock.
Right.
And I don't know, man. I don't think he should. I think I don't know. I want them to do the match. I just don't think waiting an entire 2 fucking years for that is worth it. Cody and Rock can happen anytime. Right. Roman and Rock is at this point is a Mania match. I did not say that 3 months ago because it was a different circumstance. At this point, it's a Mania match. They need to do it at Mania. Unless it's happening in fucking Samoa or something like that. I don't know. Then they have to do it at WrestleMania. Maybe honestly, WrestleMania 42 at this point might be in Saudi Arabia anyway. So maybe they could do it. Maybe they want the Saudi Arabian government to get it. I don't know.
Yeah, there was a rumor that Detroit was trying to get it, but I think it's just a rumor.
I
think it was for the is an anniversary tied to it. So it would have been 20 years since they did it at Ford Field
for 47, yeah.
And then it would have been 97.
It'd be 40 years.
40 years from WrestleMania 3. Wow.
Yeah. 40 and then 20. Wow. So yeah.
It's just amazing when you say, "Oh, WrestleMania 3, that was 40 years ago." That's fucking insane. Like,
yeah, it is crazy.
I do want to circle back. Before I do that, those who've been hitting us up in the chat on Twitter and YouTube, we really appreciate. Thank you guys. We're gonna be doing this more often, at least once a week. So again, hit the like, subscribe on youtube.com/Cruise Control Podcast. Anybody got more questions before we wrap it up? I do see that going back to King and Queen of the Ring real quick. So there's 2 matches already on the card. Becky Lynch against Liv Morgan for the Women's World Championship, and Sami Zayn against Chad Gable and Bronson Reed, triple threat for the Intercontinental Championship. Do you see the belts changing in either match as of right now? Do you think Becky should drop it to Liv at Queen of the Ring, or Sami Zayn should drop the IC title at King of the Ring?
I do, actually. I think both championships should change hands. I don't know if they change hands as soon as that show. I could see Liv losing and then, like, she's already kind of snapped, but like snap even more, beat the shit out of Becky, and then she wins it at the next show. She's got to win it either there or on the next show. She has to win it soon, or at least at some point while Becky is champion. She has to be the one to beat Becky for that belt. Again, they could wait with Chad. I would actually hope that they would have him take the belt. I think Liv can wait. I think Liv can wait like an extra month. Chad's got to win it like this match. Unless Sammy beats Bronson, which is possible, and they build to another Sammy Chad match at the next pay-per-view. Liv's also lost a lot, but Chad, if you really put it in perspective, was not at Mania. He lost the match in Montreal to Sami Zayn on Raw. That's 2 setbacks right there. Lost the gauntlet match a few months ago. Lost to Gunther, 2 or 3 different times. Didn't do a whole lot in the meantime. He turned heel, and that's great, but at some point, even heels have to get some credibility. Liv is more established than Chad Gable is, so I think she can absorb another loss. She's lost a lot too, but she can lose another time, and then it kind of adds to her heel turn. Chad's already heel. He has nothing to turn on. He's already a heel.
Yeah.
So I hope he wins the belt there. If he doesn't, maybe a Clash. Like, they can maybe hold out until then, but they really have to have him win it from Samuel, like, in the next month. You can't wait much longer.
And with there being a triple threat match, you could protect Sami Zayn, where obviously he don't take the pin. Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
Chad can pin Bronson Reed, and I'm a champion, but Sami can be like, you ain't beat me. So that you could protect him in that way. I think Chad should be Intercontinental Champion. I know it was a WrestleMania moment, but I didn't think Sammy should have won the belt from Gunther. I think we both said Chad Gable even prior to that. Maybe a Jey Uso could have been in that spot, but I know how you feel about Jey Uso right now. So yeah, but yeah, I think so. After this, it will be Clash, right? That's the next. So where would Liv Morgan live? Would you hold out Liv all the way through SummerSlam? I don't know.
To wait to put the belt on her? No, that's too long.
I don't know.
No, she's got to win it before then. She has to. Both of them have to win the belts. That's 3 months from now. She cannot keep fucking losing. I mean, again, these people have to win at some point. It's like the Jey Uso thing. They have to win at some point. Otherwise, I don't care.
Yeah, but do you think both titles are changing hands? Like, would they pull the trigger on both titles to change hands in one night?
They could. I'm not gonna. I will say one of them will change hands. If they don't, here's the thing: you can scatter it. If they don't both change hands on this show, they have to change hands in the next 6 weeks. Whether it be on the same, they could do it on Raw, I guess. Chad, it's kind of he has to fucking win at some point. If he doesn't, just take him off the show. Like it's just a waste. Liv makes more sense for her to lose and then win at the next show or on Raw or whatever in a month because she's not completely heel yet. Chad's already at that point where it's like you win or go home. He doesn't have to get pinned. Maybe Sammy pins Bronson and then Chad can beat. That's another thing. He's not going to get pinned, but if he does and he still doesn't win the belt, that's not good.
Yeah, Liv Morgan will win the title at Clash at the casting with Scarlett.
It's either here or there. I mean, it has to happen. Same thing with Chad. You can't wait much longer with these people.
Are you a fan? I think you are. I think I'm a fan too. But like the post wrestle, so between the block of Mania and SummerSlam, and I think this their new trend is going overseas between Backlash, Clash. Their Money to Bank is not is in Toronto. So
not in the States, but it's in North America.
But that's in July or June.
4th of July weekend. Yeah, it's July 6th.
Okay. All right. So we got King of the Ring, Queen of the Ring, Clash, Money to Bank, and then SummerSlam.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. There's no Bash in Berlin. When the fuck is that?
That's after SummerSlam. That's 4 weeks after SummerSlam.
So they're really hunkering down on overseas places for between after Mania and SummerSlam. Are you a fan of that? Like as opposed to seeing it in the same old city all the time. Like it's a new, different vibe. I like it.
I love it. I don't know if they're going to make that a regular thing from this stretch through SummerSlam. I mean, they kind of did it last year too, because last year, not overseas, and it's still the States, but they were in Puerto Rico for Backlash. Where did they go? Oh, they were in London for Money in the Bank as well. They were in London for Money in the Bank.
Right.
What was they were in Saudi Arabia, obviously. And that was it. They only had 3 pay-per-views in between last year. They had Backlash, Night of Champions in Saudi, and then Money in the Bank. There wasn't like a clash or anything. There's only 3 shows. This year there's 4. They kind of, they're doing more. I think it's cool. I like it. The crowds are hot for the most part. It's something different. They've like at the end of last year, they went back to U.S. cities for like those throwaway shows like Fastlane and Payback. They went to Indianapolis and Columbus or I don't know, some fucking city like that or something. And then Chicago for Survivor Series.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. I feel like they should continue doing it. It's a different, atmosphere. At some point, they're going to run out of big countries to go to for the first time. They will have to start running places again. Like I hope Puerto Rico gets another show. I hope France gets another show. I hope Australia gets another show. And honestly, I like the earlier shows too, as opposed to ending at like 12 o'clock at night. I mean, AEW has that problem, and it's just I fucking hate it. But it is what it is, and you just kind of deal with it. But that's just that's a me problem. But no, I do like the fact they're going overseas and going to markets they typically don't for these B-level pay-per-views. It makes them feel more special.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, I'm looking at last year. Clash. Night of Champions was at Saudi Arabia. You mentioned Money in the Bank was in London, England. What else we got? SummerSlam was in Detroit. Payback was in Pennsylvania. No, there's a Fast Lane was in Indianapolis, and then they go to Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia, and then you mentioned Chicago for Survivor Series, and then Rumble was in Florida. So yeah, I think just the wave of post Mania through SummerSlam, they can continue doing the overseas vibe because just off that crowd alone, we mentioned in the beginning of France, like I think they're gonna want more of that. Bro, just imagine you had a WrestleMania in France, like they're just fucking chanting for 4 hours, night
I
one
don't
and
think that's
night
gonna
two.
happen, but yeah, that would be cool though. That would be cool.
Yeah.
At the very least, do like a SummerSlam there. I don't think Mania goes there. London has wanted Mania for years. I don't think that's going to happen. Maybe not ever. Maybe just not right now. But I do at the very least think they should do a SummerSlam or at least a Survivor Series or a fucking Rumble over there. Would I be able to go? I don't know. Probably not. So selfishly, I might not be a fan of it. But that would be cool to watch as a fan, to see them go over there and have them react to God knows what and have them go nuts.
You know what's crazy? My last question is with these overseas shows. Obviously, I'm older than you, and just what clicks in my head is like, all right, SummerSlam '92 was main event for the Intercontinental Championship. And I'm thinking, like, when you go to the backlashes and clashes at the castle and, whatever it may have you, like, could we see, like, the Intercontinental Championship be, like, the main event of these overseas shows? Like, I know the world champion, Cody, Roman, whatever, but, like, you being an Intercontinental champion, you could at least main event a fucking overseas show, like a Backlash, like a Money in the Bank, like a Clash. Like, or Bash in Berlin? Like, do you think it's time that we could, depending on the storyline and the athlete, do you think they should main event one of these shows with the Intercontinental Championship?
Oh, that's a good question. I think they could, and I think they should. The difference between now and then, though, was that there's 2 world championships now. So it's a little bit harder because if you don't have one world title main event, typically the other one does. I mean, for the last number of years, any show that Roman Reigns is on, that WWE Championship will headline. For example, if Cody's still champion and Damian is champion, Cody Rhodes will always headline because Cody's a bigger star than Damian, usually has the bigger feud. It is what it is. But no, I think you could do that. For a show like Backlash, if Gunther was still champion and you had like him, for example, if he didn't lose at Mania, which I was totally fine with, but if he lost it at Backlash and not at Mania, that would have been the main event because him and Sammy or him and Gable, whatever, would have been a bigger moment, match, build than Cody and AJ, which was pretty basic, than Damian and Jay, which was pretty basic. To me, it doesn't matter it could be a women's match. It doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
Whatever has the biggest build, big 4 or not, small show, like you said, that should be the main event. They just put all their eggs in the world title basket, and that's fine, and it makes sense, and they should. But it would be nice. I'm surprised Gunther never main evented a pay-per-view as champion. But
yeah,
I mean, especially at the time when you think about it, they could have had Gunther main event at any point, considering Roman wasn't on all the shows, and they didn't have a second world title until last year. They could have, they didn't, whatever. But I still think they can. Now that Sammy's champion, maybe not Gable versus fucking Jey Uso's probably not main eventing a show, but, it's got to be the right match.
Sami Zayn and Jey Uso for the Intercontinental Championship.
It's not main eventing a pay-per-view.
That's not
No, it is not main eventing a pay-per-view. It's not. It is not.
You got to stop. Come
it depends what the if Cody's on the card, why would you not put Cody in the main event or fucking Jade and Bianca or something? I don't know.
Saying, give Cody a night off.
Okay, that's fine. But what about the world heavyweight title?
About if Cody is going against X and the story is not up to par, you could put him in the co-main event and put the IC title behind Cody.
I agree, but like the IC title or the US title are a third choice though. So the WWE title would have to be doing not a lot, which is fine, but the world heavyweight title would also have to be not doing a lot because I don't think you have, for example, Drew is the world champion unless it's like him in a throwaway match too. Because the world title would take precedence, and as it should. Drew and Punk is not going on undercard under Sammy and Jay. It's just not happening.
Okay.
But it depends what it is. Again, it's all circumstantial. It depends on what the card looks like. So it's hard to say. It's hard to say that match won main event. The rest of the card would have to be pretty like, who gives a shit if you were to do that. But,
so as of right now, do you think Cody is going to be having a match at the King of the Ring?
Yeah, I think he's going to be on every single pay-per-view.
And who is he fighting at the King of the Ring?
I have no idea. Same thing with Damian Priest. I think Damian. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. We'll find out tonight. I don't know.
I mean,
Maybe he won't. Maybe there's a chance that he won. I would be surprised. They like to appease to the Saudi Arabian government. I would be surprised if Cody did not defend on that show. Because what else do you do with him? Is Cody just directionless for the next 4 weeks? Like, you have to put him on a pay-per-view at some point.
I mean, he beat AJ, and I was like, who do you get? Or do you save for Clash? Like
you could save him for Clash. I don't. I'm not saying he shouldn't be on the show, but I think he will be. I think they want him on every show. He's the face of the company at this point. He probably should be on the shows. There is no one good answer.
Do they run it back with AJ for King of the Ring and Cody?
They could, but I just feel like the issue with that is, one, Cody went clean, and two, AJ's in a King of the Ring tournament match tonight, so he would have to lose. So he lost to Cody, he loses to Randy, and then you give him another world title shot. That makes no sense. So I don't know how you would explain that at this point. If they were going to do a rematch, they probably wouldn't have put him in the tournament. They could still do a rematch. I just don't think that makes sense.
So I think Cody might have a night off for Saudi.
He could, but is he just not going to be on the show for 4 weeks? I feel like he just won the belt. That's the thing. We'll find out tonight. These questions will be answered tonight. He doesn't have to be on the show, but there are options that you could try to make more sense than AJ again. Owen just got beat, so it probably won't be him. Carmelo Hayes is too new. He also just lost to Cody a couple weeks ago. Baron Corbin? I don't know. Probably not.
And that's where, from a storyline standpoint, it's like, all right, you beat Roman, but then who do you have going? Like, all right, it was cool seeing him against Carmelo on draft night. Cool. Then him and AJ, dope. Maybe you say the winner of the King of the Ring gets a title shot at me.
Yep.
At Clash of the Castle.
That's fine.
I'll take it.
Okay. I agree with that. And they can have Damian defend on the same show. I don't think they have neither world title defended. I think they could have Cody take the night. I think they could, but I don't know that they will. Because then the question becomes, what main events? Liv and Becky is not main eventing. And I don't think that IC triple threat is main eventing either. Logan Paul and LA Knight?
In all seriousness, I think the King of the Ring finals would main event.
That would be cool. I would be cool with that. I don't know if they will do that, but I would be happy with that, because one, it is called King and Queen of the Ring, and two, Gunther and Randy, if that's what it comes down to, would be a big enough match to main event.
Yeah. Because it does have an old school feel, and I'll let you go. It does have an old school feel where the chant, like a King of the Ring match is main eventing the King of the Ring. It's not the championship match or whatever. Like, I know we've been on a different path since then, but it'll be nice if, like I mentioned, IC title main events a show. The King of the Ring, if it's King and Queen of the Ring, one of the matches got a fucking main event.
I agree.
If you do a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, a Hell in a Cell match got a main event the show.
Money in the Bank, same thing, yeah.
Money in the Bank, but I think Cody could have a night off. I think Priest could have a night off. I think there's nothing for them right now. And it's based on the King of the Ring matches, Becky and Liv, Sammy IC title, maybe one more match, and that's pretty much it. Would they be there? Yeah, they'll be there, but to have a match, I don't. I think Priest will have a match more than Cody right now.
You know, honestly, we already know 4 matches that are happening between the 2 tournament finals and these other 2 title matches. I think I said this after the show. France Backlash proved you don't need more than 5 matches. That 5-match card was fucking perfect. I saw someone complaining beforehand. It was one of those AEW Twitter accounts. Like, oh, how could you only give us 5 matches? Especially an AEW fan would complain about that, because we get like fucking 30. I would rather have 5 matches that are given an ample amount of time than 12 matches that all get 20 minutes, but then the show's 4 hours and I'm exhausted. I don't give a shit by the time it's over. I mean, I'd rather have a shorter show with it. You know what? And you're going to appreciate this. I would rather have an in your house style show with 5 matches, a good crowd, and matches that fucking matter than filler bullshit that you could just do on television. That's it. You could do a world title match. SmackDown got a lot of the Backlash matches. A lot of the King of the Saudi show is going to be Raw matches. We just announced 2 Raw matches. You can announce maybe one more SmackDown match, or just do a World Heavyweight title match, which you would probably have to if Cody's not going to be on that show. We'll see tonight, I guess. That's it. You only need 5. 6 is cool too. Don't think you need more than that. I like the shorter shows with condensed matches that get time. It ended up being one of the best secondary shows they've ever had because of that. Please do more of that. Less is more.
Well, on that note, I have nothing else to say. That was a bar right there, Graham. So I'm not gonna step on your toes. That was dope. I would do want to thank everybody who chimed in on Twitter, on YouTube. Got about over 130 people who tapped in. We greatly appreciate your love and support. This might be the way of doing it on a Friday before SmackDown, depending on Graham's and my schedule. But you can follow Graham Matthews on Twitter at WrestleRant. Again, great work for both Bleacher Report and FanSided DDT. Find myself, Rainy J. Cruz, RENDY, letter JCRUZ. Find the podcast on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, also on Amazon Music. YouTube.com/Cruise Control Podcast. Go ahead, download, comment, thumbs up, all the merrier. Show some love and support for your boys on the program. And last but not least, also on TikTok at 2 out of 3 Falls Pod. Me and Graham greatly appreciate your love and support during these shows. So Graham, enjoy SmackDown. I know what's happening sometime next week, man. Take it easy.
Sounds good, brother. I'll talk to you next week.
All right, bet.